Welcome to another episode of Brand Lincoln, where we take a look around the Lincoln, Nebraska area and introduce you to business owners and influential people in the city. We are brought to you by Perch Merch. Perch Merch is a locally owned, custom screen printing and embroidery apparel shop that also specializes in vehicle wraps, decals, and all sorts of promotional products. If your business, school, or team is looking to expand your brand, head to perch-merch.com or call us at 402-217-5212.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Brand Lincoln. I'm your host, Chris Beecham. I'm joined by my co-host, Henry Schmidt.
What's up, Chris?
Not much. And our producer, Joe Cruz.
Hello, everyone.
Before we introduce our guest, just would like everyone to subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at Brand Lincoln Podcast. Oh, and TikTok now at Brand Lincoln Podcast as well.
Expanding.
So we'll be putting reels and stuff and all the highlights. So make sure you subscribe, follow, like, all those things.
Is America not canceling TikTok? Is it still good?
It's good for now.
We're going to ride it till it dies.
Yeah, if you can't beat them, join them.
All right.
So today in the Perch Merch studio is Austyn McKee, who is theater director at Southwest High School here in Lincoln.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
Oh, loving the warmth. We're loving the weather outside.
Austin, it's damn near 100 degrees today. I should slap you.
I'm always cold, so, you know.
Yeah, my wife's like that.
It's the worst. Sweatshirts everywhere.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, and then, of course, they always marry the opposite.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
so it's just a constant
100%.
fight over the thermostat.
Yep. Amen.
Got it. Okay, so Southwest Theater, kind of explain what that's all about.
Yeah. So Southwest High School here in Lincoln, the best high school in Lincoln, obviously. This will be my second year being the theater director out there. We have about 110 kids, 120 kids a part of the program. We put on about 3 to 4 shows a year. It kind of depends on what's going on throughout the year and what shows we have. But, I mean, that's pretty much the bulk of it. I'm a teacher out at Southwest as well, so I teach a lot of theater and oral comm and speech and photojournalism and all of that stuff. So the theater's mostly after school.
So you're there how many hours a day?
Oh, God.
More than your house?
Definitely more than my house. During the thick of it, I would say I am 60, 70 hours a week. But aside from that, it's a normal work day, I suppose.
Well, sure, because you teach during the day. Then when
during the day, yep.
The school gets out, then the kids come to the theater rehearsals. And
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep, so we're looking at about 9 to 10 hours a day usually, but it's for the children, you know?
Yes. Well, I mean, for listeners who don't understand, like Southwest Theater is a different world.
It is.
And
it is.
Especially, no offense, but compared to every other high school in Lincoln.
Yeah.
What sets you guys apart? How did that happen? How did it become like the school to go to where you're doing productions where you basically are selling out all your productions?
Yeah, we get pretty close.
You're having multiple productions, and it's not people whose kids are in it. I know people that are just retired and they have no connection to anybody in it, but they go to all your shows.
Yeah. So the theater director that was in the spot before me, Bob Henricks, he had a ton of connections up in New York. He was is a remarkable director. He's still alive. But to be honest, it's a lot of it can be attributed to him as well as my assistant. I don't know if you would call it that. My co-director, he's the technical director, Scott Engel. The two of them were geniuses. I mean, in all reality, I think we can't ignore the fact that Southwest is in a part of town that is maybe has a lot more resources that allow them to be able to put on the theater that that we have become known for. I think there's a lot of misconceptions too that Southwest has the level of theater because LPS is giving us the most money, which is 100% wrong. We actually get less than some of the other schools. It goes off of need. So in full disclosure, we get about $3,500 a year from the district. The normal show is about $50,000 to put on. So
3,500, like with 2 zeros.
Yeah, for the whole year. That's how much money we get from.
Sorry, what was that second number you just said?
Yeah, so the typical show is going to be the musical we're putting on right now is probably going to run in the 50,000 range.
Oh my god!
So $3,500 does not cover that cost.
No, it sure doesn't.
what is that for? Stage costumes?
Yeah, all the above.
What's all in?
Yeah. So right now, tonight we have auditions for the show, and before auditions even began, we have spent about $12,000 on the show. So, for example, just to get the rights to be able to do this first show, you're looking at close to $10,000. So that's right out the door at the start. Costumes, we because of the scale of the theater at Southwest, we rent a lot of our costumes. So you're looking at another $5,000 to $10,000, depending on how many people are in the cast. And then we build everything from scratch. We reuse a ton, but we have to buy props, and we have to buy and build an entire set in the span of 7 weeks. And so that's a lot of the cost that goes into it.
I have heard that wood and lumber has gotten more expensive.
It sure has. Quite a bit.
Well, theater seems to have changed a lot since I was in high school.
Sure.
Like, I assume we had one, but
your scripts came on a scroll, right?
Probably.
According to Henry, probably, yes.
A stone tablet.
Yeah.
Etch it into the limestone.
But yeah, and then all of a sudden, it just kind of blew up everywhere.
Yeah.
Where were you at during that?
Yeah, so I graduated high school in 2014, so I was in arguably the peak of it, I would say. I found my home in theater, and I think a lot of it can be attributed to the community theaters that are in Lincoln and Omaha. I mean, they put on stellar theater, and slowly but surely that started to bleed into the high schools. You had Southwest and North Star that opened at the same time, both stellar programs. But from there, the programs across LPS have grown. I think that I am very privileged, very lucky, because we have more support in the community than a lot of the other schools. And so when you're talking about how did Southwest get to that point, it's the community that's coming out and supporting it. Yes, a lot of the parents that come and support their kids fill up the audience, but I mean, we're talking about 6 shows that we're putting on, 5 to 6 shows in a week. 500 seats in the auditorium. I mean, so we're filling it up, you know, and there's no way that it can just be the parents. So a lot of it comes down to the fact that people are showing up to our shows, which allows us the ability to make back our money and then to continue the process over and over again. And the same cannot be said for a lot of high schools. So it has nothing to do with the students, the directors, the people that are participating. It's the community that comes out and supports us, and that's why we're able to put these on.
We went to see your first show last year?
Yeah.
And the wife and I took the kids to the little Italian restaurant right by the school.
Sure.
And as we're sitting there, there's a table of 4 adults that are you talking about the play? Oh, yeah, we're going to go see it too. Like, oh, do you have kids? No, we were friends with the director. And then they said, yeah, well, our kids graduated a long time ago, but they still, that's their routine. They go to the Italian restaurant and then go to the show.
I mean, truly, I will. This summer, I took a big group to New York. But aside from that, I went on a cruise, and 3 times throughout my travels, because of course all I own is Southwest gear now, and so they'll see it, and they ask about it.
Which is made by Perch Merch.
Absolutely, so Perch makes it.
Well, yes. Had to throw that in there.
I mean, but random strangers will approach me, and oh my gosh, Southwest is the theater.
No kidding.
And it's pretty surreal, and it's hard too because I'm such a small part of it. This is me going on year 2, and I think I've continued the excellence, as they would say, but the storied history is not me. I just get to live in it, and start to build my own from there.
So let's work on that history.
Yeah.
So tell us the history of Austyn.
Yeah.
And becoming the theater director. How did we start?
Yeah. So I did community theater. I think my very first show was 2nd or 3rd grade at the Playhouse, Lincoln Community Playhouse. I found my home. I am not a sports guy. My wife, I'll attribute that to her. It's not for me, but I found myself in community theater. I did quite a bit as a kid. Middle school happened, and I think that we can all agree middle school's hard for a lot of kids. And a chubby theater kid, it was a little difficult for. So falling out of middle school into high school, I was grabbed and brought into the theater program right away. So I did every single show I possibly could at North Star. That's where I went to high school. Brenda Broker, she was amazing. She was my director. And then literally as soon as I graduated, I got asked to join the directing team out at Malcolm High School. And then so for 10 years, being 2 years older than the kids I was directing, I started directing theater. And that kind of, catapulted me into all the things that I'm doing now. I did competitive one act for 10 years at Malcolm. I got my teaching degree because of the kids that I was directing, so I became a teacher. I started teaching and directing at Arlington High School for a year, which was rough. So that is why, as soon as this job popped up, I was able to apply, and here we are.
You probably consider this your dream job,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah. So I was very lucky. I actually got 3 jobs in LPS. So I was offered 3 positions. They were all theater directors. And so I had to sit down with myself and decide, where do I want to go? Do I want to go to Northwest, one of the new high schools, and start a program from scratch? Luckily, one of my very good friends, Samantha Hanks, I went to high school with her. She actually got the job, and she's doing terrific. But I had to sit there and, do I want to start a program from scratch and really struggle with it? I had a new son, that was going to be hard. Or do I step into a program that has seen success, a huge amount of success over the past 23 years that it's been around, and attempt to make it my own? And I took the jump. I took the leap, and yes, 100% it was my dream job, is my dream job, will be for hopefully a long while.
I remember when you came in and gave us the news.
Yeah.
My jaw was dropped. And
absolutely.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Man, this is it. This is the dream job
100%
for you. And going forward, holy crap.
Yeah. It probably was for a lot of people.
I think you're probably right. Yeah. Yeah.
But you won.
Yeah. I think, it's who you know. I feel very lucky. I did some directing in the community up in Omaha, and the people that I got to work with, the new people here, and it's true. It's who you know. It's what you know.
But I assume you obviously have a good reputation as well.
I hope.
What is Director Austyn like?
Oh gosh, I am growing.
I can't
and changing
picture you as a yeller, but I don't know.
For a long time I was.
Really?
I was under the impression that I had to be louder than the kids to really get their attention. It worked for a while. It doesn't work anymore. They need to be listened to. They need to be heard. And every year I grow, I change, I learn things. But I am not much of a yeller anymore. I think if I had to compare it to something, I very much feel like a basketball coach sometimes. In the early stages, I am very soft. I am very, we're a team. But when it comes down to when we're really in it, that's where I start yelling a little bit. I'm off on the sidelines, and this is where I'm yelling just like any football or basketball coach to their team to make sure they're doing better. The difference with me is when an audience is in there, I can't be doing the yelling anymore. So I just have to hope they learn something.
Yeah, what is that like? Right, you literally you can't. You just got to sit.
Where
back
are you
and
standing?
Yeah.
Are you in the back? Are you in the first
yeah.
row?
Yeah, no. I'm usually way. So we have a external mic system because you have to be sitting in the audience to understand how the sound sounds. So I'm usually sitting back there with them, kind of micromanaging, making sure that everybody's mics levels are leveled out. And but it's tough. There will be things both positive and negative. There are things that are missed, and there's nothing I can do about it. Or something horrible happens on stage, like something falls, or the psych comes down and gets caught, and I am just stuck. But then also there are really amazing things that I just get to see, kids throwing new things in there that they've never done before, and I get to laugh with the audience and really be in it.
Do you get nervous? Is it like before the Super Bowl, the coach is probably nervous?
100%.
Do you get nervous the night before?
Yeah, someone told me a long time ago that if you're not nervous, you're cocky, and being nervous is a good thing. And I think for a long time I tried to fight against it. But yeah, absolutely. That I would argue I get more nervous now before opening night than I ever did walking onto stage, as an actor, just because.
Well, you're nervous for them as well.
100%.
You get all the feels probably.
Yeah, you want them to be successful. You've put a lot of time and effort into that.
Well, there's so much control on my end, and I think that there's a responsibility there. But then all the control's gone, and so it's up to them, and it's their show. So whatever happens, happens. And most of the time, it's amazing. Sometimes it's not, but that's the beauty of art,
I was sitting next to Austyn at one of his plays.
Oh, yeah.
That
would be interesting.
There was just one scene. I think there was a delayed. Someone was supposed to come on stage, and it was just delayed a moment. And I just see Austyn put his hands on his head. I'm like, okay, something's going on here.
Yeah. I'm not.
But for the audience, they probably had no idea.
No, my gosh. And that's the best part. Other than the parents that come every night that comment on it. Yeah, nobody knows.
They say something to you afterwards, like, hey,
Shelley looked a little slow out there in Act 5.
Yep. Yep.
So you said you're doing auditions today.
Yeah, today and tomorrow.
What's the first show this year?
So it's called How to Succeed in Business Without Trying. This was premiered in like the 1950s, 60s, I want to say. And then it was revived about 10, maybe 15 years ago. The lead was Daniel Radcliffe. Nick Jonas played it for a little bit. Daniel Chris. So it was a very popular revival, and so we're kind of stepping in and doing the revival with the kids.
Do you pick that? Who picks that?
Yeah, we have a team. The luxury of being the directors, I think that I get the final say. Most of it's me coming to the team and saying, these are the shows I want to do. But at the end of the day, I think it is a collaborative effort. Sometimes it is if somebody reaches out to us, about 4 years ago, I want to say, Southwest got the opportunity to be the first high school in America to do Kinky Boots, the musical. They traveled across the United States to Indianapolis, I want to say, to perform in front of the nation, and it was really, really amazing. They raised $18,000 for the Trevor Project. So it's in an instance like that, it's somebody's reaching out to them, reaching out to us to do it. Very similar. We're going to be one of the first schools in the Midwest to put on Harry Potter this year. Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Very excited.
That'll be a big one.
So in that instance, it's somebody reached out to a small number of directors, and here we are. So most of the time it's us picking. A lot of the, here and there we get lucky and somebody reaches out.
When you're going through like the different scripts that you get to choose from, is difficulty a concern of yours?
Do you mean as far as like pulling it off?
Yeah. How difficult is this going to be for me to produce this exactly how the script is? How much flexibility do you have?
Sure. Not a ton of flexibility. I mean, I am allowed my creative, whatever, but I have to stick within the confines of the script. What has been said has been said. I can't change it. Staging, I'm allowed to do my own thing. But it's really hard. I think it's a balancing act of deciding who do we have, of who do we have in the cast and are we able to do it?
It's the same as a coach. Who do we got
100%.
At this position? Yeah.
So I think I am, again, very lucky because I don't think there's anything at Southwest that if I were to say I want this, that I wouldn't get. Like this year we're going to have flamethrowers on stage and we're going to be flying people above the audience. Those are the things that if I say I want them, we're able to do them.
This is why people come to what that have nothing to do with the program.
100%. Yeah. But then there are things, like we talked. And Phantom of the Opera would be a huge one that high schools don't do because of how hard it is.
Mm-hmm. You have to have a really, really, really good lead, correct?
100%. And it's not that we don't have that good of a lead. It's that I am still young. I am a new director, and I think that it takes a little bit of working as a team to kind of figure it out. So, no, I think we are very lucky. I think Southwest could do anything, but also you have to look at the cast. Who do you have and what are you able to pull off?
So when you pick a show like Harry Potter, you already have in your head like one or two people that'll play the lead?
I wouldn't go that far. I think you listen to the kids, and I think they will tell you that it's precast. I already know who I want for everything, and I can clearly say with auditions being tonight, I don't know. I think that there are a couple standout upperclassmen that definitely are going to be in the running for one of the leads, but for the most part, I don't go in.
Well, and when you have a good set of kids. Not just one spot is perfect for that kid. Like that kid could be great at all three.
Yep.
So it would be a complete rotation, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Yep. And the seeded, I mean, I have 4 people that could be perfect for the part. So then it's just a coin toss of who do I think is going to do the best. And I have yet to regret much. I feel pretty happy, but I don't know if it's because we make it work or if because it was right.
I do have one other question about picking the shows. So you have these 3 set for this year. Mm-hmm. Have you seen these before, or just got good
a review, an impression?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I've been doing theater for a while, so I've seen a lot of the shows. Mm-hmm. We know going in that we're going to do a musical. We know going in that we're probably going to do a Christmas show, and then a straight play of some sort. Now, sometimes it changes a little bit. So that limits some things. But But for the most part, I've seen everything. Now, I say that. I did not see Harry Potter before we decided to choose it.
But that one is going to be a slam dunk.
100%. It's how can you say no in a situation like that? Now, I took kids to New York this summer, and we got to see Harry Potter. And I was shaking in my boots, like, how the heck are we going to pull this off? But most of the time, yes, I've seen it or read the script ahead of time.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Southwest doing the Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, is that the first high school in the nation to do it?
No, so Hoboken. I want to say Hoboken outside of New York is the first high school to do it.
Gotcha.
They did it last fall. Then there was a contest. 6 high schools, and I don't know where they're at, but 6 high schools got the opportunity to get it first.
Gotcha.
But so I'm in that first batch of the in the Midwest. We just happened to be the first one in the Midwest.
Amazing.
So I want to say in the next year they'll probably 10 high schools, maybe a couple more.
Pretty exclusive.
Pretty exclusive. Yeah.
My daughter will be making me go to that one.
Good.
So.
I mean,
Same here, Chris.
It'll be a good one.
We can sit
I
together.
believe it. Yeah.
Lindsay's going to make
She
us
made me
go to
watch
that
all the
one.
movies. I liked them, So, now we went to Universal Studios,
Sure.
to do the Harry Potter thing.
Did you get a wand?
I didn't personally, but my daughter did.
Oh, good.
They wouldn't let me have one.
No.
I mean, they're pretty expensive, so I don't blame you.
Yeah, they really are. So, what is the audition process like today? Like, how many kids are going to show up?
Yeah, I think we have 40 signed up, somewhere in that range.
That's not bad.
No.
Because I know, I have a friend whose daughter is getting ready to transfer just for the theater program, not this year, next year.
Sure.
It's that planned out.
It is, yeah.
So you have a lot of kids that are going to Southwest strictly for this.
Yeah, I mean, in LPS, you get to choose where you want to go.
Yeah.
There's choice. And so if kids aren't choosing to come to Southwest for theater, we get very lucky. We probably have 2 or 3 kids that transfer from other schools. I know this year, for example, we have 4 that I know of off the top of my head that are transferring just to join the theater,
But that's kind of tough, and, because you can't guarantee them a spot. It's kind of like a football coach recruiting.
Yeah, all of this stuff sounds exactly the same as sports.
Yeah, but doesn't mean you're going to start.
Yeah.
But with theater, it's great because you still have a great ensemble if you don't get a lead.
True.
And then you can also join.
But I assume they could also go to probably one of the other high schools and get the lead.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely got to weigh it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so then it's just the track record that plays into it, We've had quite a few. It's called the Jimmies. It happens out in New York. It's a high school level Tony's competition, and we've had quite a few people that have gone out there to compete in it. Many national qualifiers through Southwest. So again, I think a lot of it's the track record, but again, I always have to preface that with the community's coming out and supporting it. Our students are in an area where they're able to take voice lessons and dancing classes, and so they're coming as a freshman already. Miles above probably someone that didn't have that same training, So I am very lucky in the student body that I get to direct.
When do tickets go on sale for this first one? Like how in advance are you doing that sort of thing?
I think they start opening 3 weeks, I want to say, 3 or 4 weeks. So usually it's about a month, a little over, before the show actually happens when we open.
When does the show happen?
Be September. Be the last weekend in September.
Okay.
Thursday through Sunday.
So you do auditions now, which we're at basically the beginning of August.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a lot of time.
It's not.
No.
And but so you practice every day.
Mostly. Yeah. A typical musical will take about 12 to 14 weeks to do. But because of Harry Potter, we had to move the musical. So usually the musical's the second half of the year. We had to move it to the front. And so we only get about 8 or 9 weeks to do this one. So that's why we're starting a little bit before the school year starts.
Is Harry Potter more in the 15 to 20 week range?
Definitely.
That you're expecting?
Yep. Just because of the special effects and the choreography and it'll definitely be more work, I would say. Not that the musical won't be, but we just have to figure it out, I suppose.
So theater's only a fraction of your day, correct? You're there 8 hours teaching as well. How does that compare? What's teaching Austyn like versus theater director Austyn?
Yeah, totally different. I think Southwest is known for a lot of things, so I don't get to teach a lot of my theater kids. It's different. I teach a lot at WorldCom. I teach a lot of speech. So it's now I've been a speech coach. This will be my second year in the last 15 that I haven't been a speech coach. But so I'm passionate about teaching those things too. It's again, a balancing act. How can I incorporate theater and the arts into all of my teaching? So we do a lot of that in all of the classes because I think it makes more well-rounded students all around,
Everyone should be able to talk.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, it's arguably, I think probably the most important skill going forward.
Are you able to capture a lot of the kids' like attentions, or do you get a lot of eye rolls when they're like, "You can do this, buddy.
Yeah.
Get out there and speak." Like, forget it, Mr. McKee.
Well, Mr. Austin.
Mr.
So I had to be the
Austin.
young guy.
Very hip.
Yeah. I'm still a pretty young teacher,
cool
so
teacher.
I think give me 10 years, and then I think I'll have some eye rolls. But I do a pretty good job of
okay.
capturing the attention. There were so many classes that I hated sitting through as a student. So every single time I sit down with a lesson, how can I make it entertaining enough that the old Austyn would have liked it? And I think I pull it off probably half the time, but
That's not a bad number.
Well, we actually
Yeah.
have a bunch of your students in
yeah,
the other
come on
room.
in,
We're
come
gonna
on in.
Bring them in.
Yeah. So it just depends. It depends.
That's awesome. Yeah, everyone wanted me in high school to be on the speech team just because I was
You would have kicked
outgoing,
butt.
and
Yeah, totally.
I just couldn't get along with the rules of it.
It's a lot of
Like
rules.
I didn't know about all the rules.
Joe doesn't fit in a box very well.
That's right.
No.
I break out of boxes.
That's right.
Many layers to Joe's onion.
I didn't with the speech. I didn't want to do the speech box because
There should be no lines on
you're supposed to
Joe's
put your hands in the
rules.
box. I don't remember.
You're pretty close, though.
Is that
Yeah.
old school?
Pretty close. Yeah.
Is that old
Yeah.
school?
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to your oh shit moments.
Yeah.
Let's start with the good. So when was your first moment that you were like, oh shit, I'm going to be a theater director for the rest of my life? Like, this is going to work.
Or
I'm
at least
good
go
at this.
for it. Yeah.
I don't think that I ever had that, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life until I got to Southwest with a caveat. Like I said, I started directing right out of high school. There were many moments of working with kids that I just had to sit back, put my arms back, and just mouth open because of how impressive, how talented the kids can be. But it was small town. It was a small town directing gig. I think coming to Southwest and seeing the level of theater that I would be able to put on, that's when it clicked. That's when I said we're not going anywhere else. And with a wife that's going to be starting residency soon, and trying to decide where she wants to go, I had to tell her,
This is kind of a big deal.
better get to Omaha because we're not moving. So yeah, I think after starting Southwest now. Throughout the year, I had many moments. I think about the musical. We had a lot of tap dancing, and I have never. This will be the first show that I've ever done tap dancing in the last 15 years. And I think it was 1 3 to 4 hour choreography session. And I'm not the choreographer by any means, but I came in near the end and I saw what the kids had done in 4 hours, and I just it could have been professional theater, in 4 hours that these kids worked. So I think throughout the last year, I had many of those moments that said that I'll be doing this forever. But I am also a go with the flow type of person, so let's see. I feel very confident that I will be at Southwest for a long time, or at least as long as they'll have me,
Yeah, I think you're doing great.
Well, I'm trying.
And if my opinion matters, which
Sure does.
totally
There we
does
go.
in the theater community. So, okay, let's move to your bad oh shit moment. Was there any times like you felt like something was a disaster and you're like, oh shit, they're not going to let me stay here? Or it doesn't even have to be just at
Sure.
Southwest,
Yeah,
But just
I don't
in
think
your
there was
career.
ever a moment where I thought that I was going to get the boot by any means. I
kinky
feel,
boot.
Yeah, the kinky boot. I feel
Good
very
job there, Joe.
That's called a callback. Nice,
Yeah,
Joe.
he
you
was
go.
listening the first time.
I feel very confident in my creativity. I think that across the board, everything that I've been able to do, no matter the level, has had some merit to it. I will say, and I'm very vocal about it, I started teaching at Arlington outside of Omaha, and I would say that was my oh shit moment. It's just different. It was a small farming town that the money was not in theater. So my stipend was $1,000 throughout the entire year to do speech and theater. So that was what I was getting paid, which with the amount of hours I was putting in was not a lot. And the level of theater that I was able to put on, I remember, because we used to travel around and compete with it. We were at districts. And I don't think that, and this is not to toot my own horn, because it's not just me. I mean, I have a team of creative people that is making it happen. But I don't think that we placed below second or third place at any competition throughout all my time. And we got smoked. When I was there. And I think my passion was waning. I think the lack of community support is what I'm realizing now is what I'm so lucky to have, because there was none. So yeah, I was about done with teaching and coaching, I think. And if not for probably getting this job, I might not be a teacher. I think I was very much going back and forth. Is like, do I really want to do this? And then the Southwest gig came up and showed me what does it mean to have community support and administrator support and the ability to create art without people getting offended. I think that theater, we walk a fine line, because a lot of the theater touches into things that some people find, I don't know, they don't agree with for whatever reason. And I got a lot of community pushback. I don't get that anymore, or too much.
Yeah, I really like that. That was a very genuine answer.
Yeah.
Like, thanks for sharing that with
us.
Yeah,
totally.
Well, now we come to a section I don't know if Chris likes it, but
it's fine. They just added a final segment.
Yeah.
We might keep adding segments.
Maybe we
this one has been quite successful, Let's have 5 segments.
So it's Brand Lincoln Podcast.
Yeah.
We just want to ask you what you like to do in our great, wonderful city of Lincoln. Entertainment, restaurants, any favorite spots
Friday
that
night
you might
Austin.
have?
Yeah. Well, I don't have a lot of Friday nights. I have a almost 2-year-old. So right now, I would argue there's not a lot. Find me at a park
with a swing set.
With not quite. It's just gravel and a scoop right now, and trying to keep it out of his mouth.
We do that with Joe around here.
Yeah. Oh, I remember.
Get that out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Not again.
Damn it, Joe.
Joe, the vinyl goes in the printer.
Yes, we're big foodies, so we spend a lot of money at the restaurants in Lincoln, so that's where you'll probably see us quite a bit. We do a lot of the theater. I go to a lot of the community theater. Pinewood just happened.
Just saw you at Tarzan last weekend.
Yep. Friday, I saw some of my kids as well as a lot of others in the Youth Actors Association of Lincoln. They did Chicago, and I got to go watch middle school and early high school kids. So yeah, I'm seeing a lot of theater, but I would say if we're not out eating somewhere, we're probably at a park or at home. So ask me in 10 years, then maybe I'll have a couple more hobbies.
No, I've been there. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
past that now. So, okay, real quick.
Yeah.
I have another question after you, Chris. So.
Okay, perfect.
So, closing segment did not close.
I might have something to go off my chest after Henry.
Okay. So, you're watching these middle schoolers.
Yeah.
Are you, recruiting? Can you recruit?
No.
Okay.
Hey,
but in
come to
your head, you're
Southwest.
kind of like, oh, hope this one
Yeah. I think
sees us.
I know where the kids go to high school or middle school. I know if it's a feeder school. And so we are very strictly told in LPS that you cannot recruit. So we have quite a bit of rules in regards to who we can reach out to. And but yeah, I think I see kids on stage and I know that they're going to be at Southwest and I get excited. So not recruiting, but if I definitely know that talented kids are coming up, it makes me a lot less anxious for the next coming year,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now my turn.
Yeah, your turn, Henry.
So, do you go to other Lincoln Public high schools and see their productions? That's correct.
I tried to.
And are you just an enjoyer? Are you a analyst? How do you view their plays?
Throws tomatoes.
Yeah.
I should bring some of those. No, I would say probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I can't watch a show or a movie without, analyzing it or what can I steal? What can I borrow? What can I, change and include in my work? So aside for probably when we went to New York looking at Broadway, I finally got to sit back and just enjoy. But even then, I have a piece of paper in front of me and I'm taking notes usually about what
You're never off the clock at those events.
No. But sometimes it's nice to just go and support,
appreciate it.
Yeah. Because I'm analyzing it doesn't mean that I can't, enjoy it. So yeah, I definitely try to get around to the high schools, but there's so many high schools now that oftentimes the same weekends that we're performing, they're performing. So you got to figure it out. You got to share it,
Do you collaborate with other high school directors? You said that the Northwest one,
Yeah.
you're good friends with. Do you talk to them on like a monthly basis?
Yeah, we definitely we talk quite a bit. There's probably not a lot of collaboration just because there's not enough time. But the tech side of it, definitely. We're borrowing each other's stuff. We're reaching out to the directors and tech directors of other schools to try to figure out how to do it. So I think as much collaboration as possible within our time frame. Probably not as much as I'd like to, like my dream, and I've already pitched this to LPS. We'll see if it happens. But I want to do an all-city musical in the summer.
I think people would appreciate that.
I think so. You look at Pinewood, and to be honest, that's what Pinewood is. Now, you have a lot of, adults in Pinewood too, but you get somebody from every school that's in that program, and I think LPS needs to do it. I think it doesn't even have to be me. I said I think every year a new director should, or
rotation.
2 directors. Yeah,
that'd be good.
Partner directors, partner tech directors, and putting it on.
It's like an all-star game.
Exactly.
I know. I don't hate the idea at all.
No, I think it would be great.
Yeah.
It unfortunately, with everything in the world, it comes down to money. Where's it going to come from? But we'll see.
Well, maybe Joe can pull some strings.
I like it. 10,000, you got it.
I'll talk to some people.
We can get Kincaidor to sponsor.
Hey,
Cody.
LPS. I don't know the alcohol. We might not get away with it.
Oh, the alcohol.
Yeah,
Think about it.
Yeah,
you need to pick one of his
light bulb
businesses
just went
that
off
doesn't
in my head.
serve alcohol.
yeah.
The your work at Malcolm, I got it just as for the tech side of it.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm not going to a bunch of high school one acts or small productions, but I was blown away by just the lighting that you would do out there. I don't know I guess I just want to say props to you and Malcolm School too.
Well, again, there was a lot of us that were doing it, but out at Malcolm, small school, we didn't have a stage. 10 years ago, 6 years ago, I don't know. We received a grant through NBC, and we built a steel silo, a steel building that became our theater. So we laid the concrete, we built it, we raised an additional $40,000 in the community, and that became our theater. So as novice, as basic as you can get is what we were seeing at Malcolm. So with that, we had to be really creative about how to put on theater.
It showed because you couldn't build something big.
No.
Just the lighting and effects just blew me away.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you can do that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, then Southwest, it's the same but different. We just have access to, I would hire in things, to be able to do the things that when I go, ooh, I really want to do this, Scott, he makes it happen.
I do want to do a quick PSA for any students listening out there.
Oh, Lord.
Audition. Go put yourself out there.
100%.
I was in the theater program at Pius when I was doing it, but the best play that we put on was the student directed play because they got like the basketball guys, the football guys to audition and casted them as leads.
Absolutely.
And it was the funnest thing. And they were also like, I can't believe this is my first time doing that as senior year. I wish I would have had a lot more of this going through high
And I was
school.
I was so lucky out at Malcolm. There was 170-ish average kids in the school, and we would have 110 participate in theater. So we had the cheerleaders, we had the football players. I think that I'm very lucky. My father-in-law is the football coach out there, so he could put in a good word. But we had everybody in the school, and that is definitely a goal that I have at Southwest. Like, it is a shame that we don't have all of the dance team. I mean, they're nationally recognized too. We don't have the football players. We don't have the wrestlers. So that is definitely a goal going forward of how can we incorporate the whole school. We got a talented bunch, but that's not where the talent ends,
That was really good, Joe.
Thank you.
That was quite articulate.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah.
I think
I'm
that
always
was great.
articulate.
That was very informative. Yeah.
I mean,
Thank you for that
especially
good closing segment, Joe.
with this not being a business, like in a lot of ways, I was trying to think of things to talk about when I came over, but you have to run a high school theater like a business, and so a lot of the things that, I have my associates in business administration, and so much of it's coming in handy with advertising and getting the shows up and running, and you have to run it like a business. And so this is pretty cool that I was able to come in. So anybody listening, 100% what Joe says, I don't care if you're going to Southwest or anywhere else, participate in the arts in some way. It makes, for whatever the future holds, those are the skills that are going to push people further, I think,
True.
Thanks,
All right.
Austin.
All right. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
And scene.